Lucy and this is Timur, and we have been hands-on with Batman Arkham Knight. So, Timur, we both played all the Batman games, Rocksteady's. What was the biggest difference you noticed in Arkham Knight?
Obviously, it's the thing that they're thrusting upon us. It's the Batmobile, which is a big part of the game. Most noticeable change, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed using the Batmobile. I expected it to be quite a heavy vehicle.
I expected it to be like way more chunky than it actually felt when you actually played it. It's a lot more nimble.
Yeah, I when I was playing it, I was trying to come up with like the equivalent would be like it felt like it should move like the Wraith in Halo, the big tank, but it actually moves a bit like a ghost, which is in terms of it can turn on a dime, and it's super nippy. Like we played, one of the missions we played was the Firefly mission, which is the character appears and he's kind of like signified in the game mode by buildings being on fire, and you're supposed to chase him down in the actual Batmobile. And the first thing I did was, because I wasn't expecting it to be as nimble, I just immediately turned off a bridge and went on down into some unreachable area and immediately lost him.
You expect it to be just this chunky car all the way through, but it's very easy to negotiate if you get stuck in a corner, because you go into battle mode and it basically moves on a grid instead, and you can then attack, obviously because Batman doesn't kill. If you ever do aim your gun at someone, you fire off kind of like a non-lethal round, which is quite cool, and you can't run people over. It's not that they have superhuman reflexes and just leap out of the way. You kind of expel this sort of electromagnetic force that just gently pushes people out of the way.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of people around to run away. They're mostly thugs. But I enjoyed how it felt. Like I was turning corners without using the brakes. Sometimes it's easier to just use the go into the battle mode because it brings you to a much quicker stop, and you can also strafe with it, so it's really good to just like boost and then turn strafe around a corner. And the thing that I loved about it was Batman's suit is actually made from similar materials used in the Batmobile, and I don't know how they're explaining this, but apparently it maintains the car's momentum.
What?
His suit does that, that's what I was told. So what happens is when you double tap the X button, when you're moving at speed, it just immediately fires them out, and you can use that to cover long distances and do big jumps, which I'm guessing might be at some point how he gets across a broken bridge or something like that.
But also we used the Batmobile, so the Arkham Knight, I don't know where he's got his money from, but he has enough dollar to basically leave armored tanks around the city of Gotham that you in the Batmobile can take out. It's like a fun little side mission minigame. So you can see where they're going to fire, and you can quickly nip out of the way and destroy them with the Batmobile in its armored tank mode, which was quite fun.
Yeah,
it's a nice little distraction.
Yeah, it's really clever the way they do the thing. So each of these tanks, they fire a tracer, and it's, I can't remember, I think it's gold, and then it goes red when it's about to shoot you. So it functions just like a counter signifier that the enemies would have over their heads. So the moment it goes red, you know you need to move out of the way or you'll take some damage. And each of these tanks, they have like a blue spot at the top, which is like the turret area, where if you can hit it there, it will blow up in an instant. So there's a skill to kind of dashing out of damage zones and kind of lining up shots and pinpointing the tanks, which is cool. I enjoyed it. It took me a couple of tries to get through them, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So switching up to actual, the gameplay that we know and love, we got to see the Fear takedown in action. So another kind of an example of what it's similar to would be Call of Duty's breach mechanic. So the way I did it, I was on top of a building. It had a glass roof. You highlight the enemies down below, and you can upgrade this so you can attack. You can attack 3, I think, at the beginning, and attack more and more by spending Wayne tech points in the skill tree. So if you're playing and you highlight the guys, you jump down on top of them, and it basically goes into slow-mo, and you attack the first guy. Then you have time to just move the camera and highlight the next guy and press attack, and he'll go to that. Then it slows down again, you highlight the next guy, and you can basically chain up. Where I was in the game, you could chain up 4, and then the last guy crying on his own, you can just take out in the normal Batman way.
It's like a cinematic version of the normal, like a small skirmish, where it's just in between your movements, it's kind of like slowing the action down and letting you direct Batman somewhat. But I'm interested, what did you think of the overall combat? Because I found it to be way more chaotic than previous games.
Well, Rocksteady was saying that in Arkham Knight, because it's next gen, or current gen now, I guess we can call it, they have the capability to put more enemies on screen than ever before. So It definitely feels more chaotic, and in the one mission we played, we actually got the chance to switch to Nightwing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about Arkham's, the alternate characters, is that they definitely feel different from Batman. So while you are still being the Batman, you can be that gruff, aggressive, but controlled. Switching to Nightwing, he's just so much more acrobatic. He has his electric taser that he can get. He can spring over enemies faster, chain up more kills, and you can do a kind of double takedown with both of you, can't you?
Yeah, I found myself sticking with Batman purely because I like the dual takedown, because Nightwing would also often just come from above me and flying kick into an enemy or something. So it was always something unexpected. But yeah, I enjoyed switching back and forth. I think it's less of a ballet than previous games, but it kind of fits into the way that the kind of enemies in Gotham are so desperately just trying to overwhelm Batman. So thematically it makes sense, but there's less of a kind of finessing, and it's more like crisis management. And they've got new enemy types like the guys who can counter you, and there's also the Chargers who you've got to keep an eye out for. They're always hiding on the periphery of the arena, and then they'll just come out of nowhere just charging at you, and you've got to really instinctively get over them. So yeah, it still has that adrenaline rush and the kind of timing-based combat that everyone loves from the previous two games.
But it's just, at the same time, it's on such a bigger scale and it's more manic, and there's just so much more to see and do. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I always expected it to be a good game. The Rocksteady have knocked it out of the park twice, but so I wasn't expecting it would be any worse than the previous two games. But it's still yet to be seen how good it is, whether it's going to be whether it have moments like the Arkham City ending where it was kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, or of course, the famous Dr. Freeze boss fight.
Yep, exactly. We did ask them about that, and they were quick to point out that the guy that designed it is still at Rocksteady, and he is doing
He's
stuff.
been working on some great stuff apparently.
He's quick to point out that he made that boss fight, and he wants everyone to know that he's still there. So, might have some surprises.
Yeah. So Arkham Knight is obviously coming out in June. For more coverage, make sure you keep it GameSpot.